Hi, this is Janey, Imaani, and welcome to Emotional Awareness. So for today's episode, we'll be looking at the 5 love languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. So the 5 love languages are 5 distinct ways that we like to express and experience love. So according to Dr. Chapman, we each have a primary and secondary love language of how we like to feel loved. And the mistake that we tend to usually make is that we give love to others in the way we like to receive it. But sometimes when somebody expresses love in a language in a manner that is not our primary or secondary love language, it can be even difficult to recognize it as love. So about a couple of years ago, I worked with a couple who had been married for more than 2 decades. And the wife said that she spent her entire marriage feeling like she wasn't special enough to her husband, or that she didn't mean enough to him. And the husband, he didn't understand why that was, because his love language was acts of service. And so he would feel like, but I always do a lot for you, I take care of you financially, I take care of the kids. He'd even say things like, I cook and clean, like most men wouldn't do. And so he couldn't wrap his mind around why he felt that way. But her primary love language was words of affirmation, quality time and presence. And although she appreciated his hard work, and that's probably the reason why their marriage was decent up until that point, she always felt as if she wasn't special enough to him, which is really quite important, isn't it? In a world of, I think it's like, 7.7 billion people now, we want to know that we're special to somebody. We want somebody to make us feel like we aren't lonely. And so here is an example of a couple who were using 2 different love languages, and so they ended up missing each other. So for today's episode, what we're going to do is quickly look at the love languages, and they're quite self-explanatory, so they're easy to understand. So the first one is words of affirmation. So that's words of appreciation, using words to build up the other person. So that's saying thanks for taking the bin out, instead of saying, oh, it's about time that you took the trash out. The second one is receiving gifts. So a gift says he's thinking of me, he understands me, he knows what I like. The third one is acts of service. So that's doing something for your spouse that you know that they would like cooking a meal or washing the dishes, putting petrol in the car or vacuuming the floors. So the fourth one is quality time, which means giving your spouse undivided attention. Taking a walk, sitting on the couch talking and listening with the TV off. The idea is that you are present. The last one that we have is physical touch. So that's holding hands, hugging, kissing, and it includes sexual intercourse as well. Those are all expressions of love. So the first goal would be to understand what your love language is. And there's a test that you can take as well, and I'll link it down below. So the first goal, like I said, was to understand your love languages and then make it clear to your partner. Right? And this is where people say things like, oh, but if they loved me enough, then wouldn't they just know? Doesn't that take the mystery out of things, and etc. And it doesn't. I mean, people find it hard to read themselves, let alone somebody else. The second one is to identify your partner's love language, and then you want to express it in a manner that they can comprehend and appreciate. So this is where people start saying things like, oh, that's not really me though, I'm not really like that, I'm not sure if I can do that. But if your spouse's love language is kind words and you can't do it, then why is it that you can't do it, right? That should really be a fine question that you should challenge yourself with. Like, what makes you feel awkward to give a gift? Why is it so uncomfortable for you to say something nice? And so that should be a portal into you understanding something about yourself and trying to figure it out. Marriages and relationships are not just about connection and love. We're also meant to contend with each other, which gives us an opportunity to unravel and mature into and improve into a better version of ourselves. So ultimately, we want to use those conflicts as a window into expand our personalities and our characteristics. Okay, so let's do this in a nutshell. It may be hard for some of us to express love in a particular language, but it's important for us to try and understand it, because it's always better to be multilingual in love. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you tune in next Wednesday for another episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and take care. Bye!